What's going on, guys? How are y'all doing today? Before I continue on with today's video, welcome to my channel, everybody. For those of you who are coming to my channel for the very first time, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a future video from me, as I have a lot of stuff coming your way, whether it's reviews or reactions. And for those who are coming back to the channel, welcome back, and I'm happy to see your faces once again. This is a topic that I've been thinking about for quite some time, and the video idea is gestated for a very long time, but it wasn't until, well, a couple of days ago I just thought, you know what, I gotta make a video about this. I just realized something. Hold on. This is a Marvel video, and I'm wearing a DC shirt. Maybe 1 second, let me change this out. Now that is more like it. It was somewhere in the last couple of 5 years, at the very minimum, it was announced that there were going to be 2 new Avengers movies. Avengers the Kang Dynasty, and then Avengers Secret Wars, to which, if you have been watching any of the new Marvel things, especially if you're a diehard fan of Marvel Comics, you will all know that Secret Wars was pretty much going to happen at any certain, because as we all know, the multiverse in this universe has existed, and it was teased right in Far From Home by Mysterio himself, Jake Gyllenhaal. For those of you who have been following me for a very long time, you will all know that I'm a massive fan of the MCU, and even I can admit, as of recently, while there have been some good, in fact there have been some great MCU films, the MCU was not like what it used to be. The amount of great stuff that we had through Phase 1 through Phase 3 was just absolutely legendary, with Phase 3 cultivating with Infinity War and Endgame, which I will quote my buddy Jerome when I say this, the Everest of the MCU. When I first heard that Secret Wars was happening, I got really excited. Actually, I didn't hear about it. I was told it was being set because my buddy Jason, who happens to be a massive comic fan, during, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Loki Season 1, by the way, because Loki Season 1 is brilliant stuff. After the finale had hit, he said, Secret Wars is coming. The way I was pitched Secret Wars was like Endgame, which was, by the way, Endgame is already a massive movie. I mean, it's absolutely massive, and that's an understatement. Secret Wars, from what I was pitched, takes Endgame and multiplies what Endgame did, but essentially times 10. Like, the skill for Secret Wars is best because it does deal with a multiversal war. When I first heard about that, I got really excited. But, and I hate to say this to you guys, Secret Wars is a movie that at first I was very excited for it, but as the time goes on, and by the way, we're coming closer and closer for when the film has to be released, which is, by the way, in 2026, which is literally 2 years away. It's a film that, while I was insanely excited about it, my excitement has unfortunately dipped. I'm here to talk about, at least in my personal opinion, why Avengers Secret Wars will not live up to Avengers Endgame. I feel as if that Secret Wars will not even come close to living up to what Avengers Endgame did. At this moment, guys, I have 5 particular reasons. Now, really quick, guys, I have 5 reasons, but this is actually not a top 5 video. They're just 5 reasons I thought of as to why I do not think that Secret Wars is gonna even live up to what Endgame did already. There's no honorable mentions, none of that stuff. It's just 5 simple reasons as to why I think Secret Wars will not come close to what Endgame did. So, guys, starting off with, well, number 1. Getting into the first reason why, and that is because, at least in my personal opinion, the story doesn't feel nearly as enough as it should be, not even to the minimal amount. There are a couple of reasons why that Avengers Endgame was such not only a colossal hit in movie theaters, but why it did so with not only critics, audiences, but pretty much everybody. And that's because the story took its time to develop. Avengers, like with Endgame, took its time to build up into essentially 5 different movies. Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, while other side characters like Black Widow, Hawkeye, and others were introduced, and also the Incredible Hulk. The MCU not only took their time, but they actually did flesh out all the characters. The MCU started back in 2008, and it's crazy for me to say that because I was in high school when that started, but anyways, the MCU took 11 years to get to Endgame, 11 years worth of storytelling. Secret Wars is 2026. Less than 10 years. And by the way, as far as I'm concerned, there's no actual story that's been developing because there has been so much setup with these characters. Whether it's Shang-Chi, how Doctor Strange is progressing, not to mention as well how Spider-Man's progressing, Miss Marvel, also Hawkeye. I mean, there are a ton, and oh my god, the Eternals. I almost forgot about the Eternals. Shuri as the new Black Panther. There are so many new build-ups, and it just feels like that they're rushing to the finish line at this point. Does the concept of Secret Wars sound absolutely incredible? Absolutely yes, in terms of concept, but in terms of execution, given how the story is going right now, I feel like they at least need another 5 years to develop everything else before we actually get to the big conclusion of what is being called now the multiverse saga. Concluding the first reason why I feel like the storytelling hasn't come close being fleshed out nearly enough for it's going to be the next grand finale of this new saga. Like, they need to spend at least 5 years if they really want to take their time with it. A little more than 5 years, but for now, calling it quits with the multiverse saga with Secret Wars in 2026 sounds a little bit too soon. Going on to the second reason why, and that is because of, well, the characters. Phase 4, and even Phase 5 for that matter, has spent a lot of time introducing brand new characters. Whether it's Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi, they're still introducing, well, Ironheart, which is a brand new thing that hasn't even come out yet. Daredevil is happening, Fantastic Four is happening, and again, the multiverse saga is absolutely huge, and Secret Wars is going to be absolutely huge. So it does make sense, by the way, that they're introducing a whole ensemble of brand new characters. But at the same time, with that being said, this kind of goes back to reason number one. That's because, well, it needs to be more fleshed out. If you remember correctly, in the first 3 phases of the MCU, how many sequels did we get? Iron Man had 3 sequels, Captain America had 3 sequels, Thor had 3 sequels, Guardians had 2 sequels, and sure, while there weren't a lot of sequels for the other characters, the 3 main people who were, well, Iron Man, Cap, and Thor had multiple sequels. All that we've had is just one movie per person. Like, I'd like to see another movie of Shang-Chi. I'd like to see another film, even though I wasn't a big fan of Eternals. I'd like to see another film. Oh yeah, we did have Quantumania, but still, guys, nonetheless, they're bringing in a lot of new characters, but to its detriment, who is the head character that we're supposed to be calling the leader? And I'm pretty sure it's not Spider-Man, as much as I know we'd all love to have Spider-Man be the leader of the brand new Avengers movies, but still, who's the main character? Who is the main characters? Who is the new team that we're supposed to be rooting for going to Secret Wars? Is it the Fantastic Four? Is it X-Men? I couldn't tell you because those 2 films haven't even come out yet. The Guardians of the Galaxy, the current iteration, which ended in Volume 3, there's no other iteration at the moment, which I still believe they're still getting together for the next team of the next Guardians of the Galaxy team. Also, Shang-Chi is an awesome character, but I don't see him being the main character. Miss Marvel's an awesome character, but I don't see her being the main character either. The Eternals, where have they been the entire time since 2021? Knowing that there's no main character, or no main characters, let alone a main team at this point now, who are the Avengers now? Who are the Avengers? With all these players coming to the fray, we do not know who's the main person, the main people, or the main team. I have no clue to tell you who's the main person. Getting into the third main reason as to why I think Secret Wars won't live up to Endgame, who is the villain this time around? Take a look around, guys. There's no villain this time around. Go back to Phase 1. The moment that Phase 1 ended, it revealed who would be the main villain of the Infinity Saga. Thanos, the big bad guy, was revealed at the end of Phase 1. Phase 2 happened, and then finally, at the end of Ultron, we finally saw, or at least if I remember correctly, we finally saw Thanos coming into the picture and grabbing the Infinity Gauntlet. That was at the end of Phase 2, by the way, which was 2015. Phase 4... who's the main villain? It was supposed to be Kang the Conqueror, who got vanquished at the end of Quantumania. At the end of Quantumania, it was revealed there's a tillion times more of Kangs waiting to be dispersed, but at the same time, again, knowing what's happening with Jonathan Majors, I highly doubt that Kang is coming back. So, again, I must ask the question, who is the main villain of the Multiverse Saga? Is there going to be a lot of speculation as to who the main villain is? Absolutely yes. The first big guess is Galactus, one of the biggest villains out of the Fantastic Four, but of the MCU, or just Marvel Comics in general. The other big guess, who I think is going to be the main villain, Doctor Doom. But other than that, who is the main villain? We are now 2 phases into the Multiverse Saga. It was going to be Kang, but after what happened, they went right back to the drawing board on that one. And with 2 years left to reveal this person, my personal opinion, not looking good. On to the 4th reason as to why I think Secret Wars will not live up to Endgame, and that is the scale for this movie. With that being said, I can understand why some people might be saying, wait, you think the scale is the reason why? Bear with me here. I was pitched a while ago that essentially Secret Wars is pretty much the scale of 10 times bigger than Avengers Endgame. And keep this in mind, guys, Endgame was already an enormous movie in terms of size, scope, and scale. That movie was absolutely huge, but again, all those characters have been established, everything had been fleshed out, everything had been worked out building up to the events of Avengers Endgame. Unless if you find a director that knows how to tackle humongously scaled movies, I just don't know about this one, guys. I really want to see how the scale and how enormous Avengers Secret Wars is going to be playing out, but at the same time, knowing how everything is being played out, especially from phases 4 and 5, and seeing that there's really no clear roadmap so far established, I don't know how it's going to be done, but I can tell you this, the big scale of this movie and the huge risk it'll be for Secret Wars, it may come at the detriment of the MCU. And with that, guys, I come on to the 5th and final reason as to why I do not think that Secret Wars will come up to Endgame. And that is one primary reason. Kevin Feige possibly not being involved as much as he was with Endgame. Going back to all the reasons combined, Kevin Feige, especially in the first 3 phases of the MCU, you could tell he had a big hand in having those movies happening. I mean, sure, guys, there were a few select films from phases 1 through 3 that weren't as great as the others, like, for example, Captain Marvel, Age of Ultron, not to mention Thor the Dark World. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 for me is a movie that I've gone to appreciate over the time, but I don't think it's still a great movie. Let's go back into phases 4 and 5. Minus a select few films, these movies you can tell have had a dip in quality, and a pretty big dip in quality. This is coming from a guy who has enjoyed Phase 4 more than most people. I actually enjoyed Quantumania. I enjoyed The Marvels. I enjoyed Thor Love and Thunder, but were they great films particularly? No, did I have a good or in fact a great time watch them? Sure, but at the same time, I cannot deny that the quality of those films don't even come close to films like Guardians Volume 3, Shang-Chi, and not to mention as well Spider-Man No Way Home. Knowing that those other movies, and on top of all of that, Marvel's Eternals, and not to mention the TV shows that have been coming out all as of recently, Kevin Feige, I don't think, and I could be completely wrong with this, it generally feels like that Kevin Feige hasn't had the hand in those projects as much as he did in the first 3 phases of the MCU. And I personally feel that if Kevin Feige doesn't have that big of a hand in especially Secret Wars, that Secret Wars is not only gonna not live up to Endgame, to the Everest peak that was Endgame, but I feel like that Secret Wars, that sure, while it would be cool seeing all these heroes coming together in this multiverse war at the same time, without the fleshing out, without knowing who the main people are, without knowing who's the big villain, and without knowing, by the way, if they're going to be able to work with the movie with this huge of a scale, and especially, by the way, if Kevin Feige will have a big hand in Secret Wars. I want Secret Wars to usher in the next couple of phases of the MCU, and I want Secret Wars to be this colossal and huge acclaimed hit like Endgame was. But unfortunately, as the road is going on and on, I only see a rougher terrain coming for Secret Wars. I only see a rough terrain, I see a bumpy terrain, and I see something that's just gonna say, stop, do not keep going at this point. Unless if they pull the biggest and the greatest magic trick possible by pulling the best rabbit out of the hat, I don't see Secret Wars coming close to doing what Endgame did for the MCU or even filmmaking in general. And those guys are my 5 reasons as to why I believe that Secret Wars is not going to live up to Endgame. And I'm going to throw this to you guys. Start our conversation below. Why do you feel that Secret Wars is not going to live up to Endgame? If so, or give me your reasons as to why you will think it'll live up to Endgame. Let me know below. I hope you enjoyed my 5 reasons as to why I believe Secret Wars will not live up to Endgame. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you disliked the video, hit the dislike button. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next review video goes live, I will see you all next time.